Now, as we wait for them to come outside and say hello, it looks like the political outsider is going with an insider for his running mate. Donald Trump's vice presidential shortlist, heavy with very experienced politicians. And with just 2 weeks to go before the Republican convention, here is who we think is on the list. A lot of buzz about these folks. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Tennessee Senator Bob Corker, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions, Indiana Governor Mike Pence, who Mr. Trump did meet with over the weekend, and Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, who also met with Mr. Trump. That was yesterday in New Jersey. Now, she's also the only female on the list, by the way. Let's bring back in Rick Ungar, and also joining me, conservative commentator Gina Loudon. Gina, Joni Ernst, what do you make of that one?
Well, I think from a marketing perspective, and certainly if we want to go the politically correct route and we want to try to market to that crowd, then she wouldn't be a bad choice at all. I personally still feel like a Newt Gingrich choice gives a lot of political gravitas to Donald Trump and an experience that's sort of hard to encapsulate while not alienating his conservative base. So he would still be my first choice.
You know, Rick, there is a lot of talk about Chris Christie. And they really have formed quite the alliance over, we should say, quite the alliance over the last several months. He may be the only candidate that Donald Trump has made peace with, truly.
Yeah, that's
what do you
true.
think of that?
Probably a bad idea to pick somebody who's from as close of a home state as Trump is, although I don't know those rules matter so much anymore. Far be it for me to advise Donald Trump on who to choose as a running mate, but if I were going to advise him, I think I'd have to say Bob Corker, who gives him an experienced Senate insider, a guy who gets along with people, a guy who I think is going to play very well to those who are nervous about Trump's lack of decorum, if you will, and experience. That would be my choice. You know, Gina, as you look through this list, I think the bigger question is, of these potential names, who would help him to win battleground states? Now, the likelihood he gets California pretty small, but he's got to win. He's got to win Ohio. He's got to win Florida. I mean, these are states that are critical to anyone that wants to win. Any of these names stand out to you there?
You know, I guess I think that I would like to see him pick the person that I believe is most going to fortify a Trump administration. And to me, that person, every time, no matter how I break it down, still comes up to be a Newt Gingrich. But I don't think there are bad names on this list. But here's my prediction, Cheryl. I will predict to you and to Rick right now that he will pick no one on this list, that he will pick someone that we haven't thought of, because this is the way Donald Trump, he just has such a mind of his own in this whole thing, and I could just see him coming up with someone that we haven't even thought of and that we're not seeing him court right now.
Well, it's strategic, Rick, and that's my question. You know, you can win the popular vote and still lose the election, Bush or anybody, so he's got to be very specific in who he picks that can help him win those states. It's all going to come down to those states.
That's absolutely true, and as you reeled off the battleground states, I'm not sure that any of those people are necessarily going to be helpful. Also, too, we have to keep in mind, we love to talk about vice presidential candidates. We vote for the top of the ticket, no matter who's in second position. Trump could use a little evening out. I don't know if it's Newt Gingrich, who's kind of controversial himself. I'm not sure controversial on top of controversial is the way to go. But there are some people. Mike Pence probably belongs in there. Joni Ernst, I think, is interesting from a marketing standpoint. Not a lot of experience.
You know what, though, Gina? Jeff Sessions was one of the first supporters of Donald Trump. And if there's one thing we know about Donald Trump, he wants loyalty. And he's loyal to you if you're loyal to him.
That's actually a great point I hadn't even considered, Cheryl. I think that is an important thing to Mr. Trump that he might value above some of the other things that we may traditionally look at. And since Donald Trump doesn't tend to operate based on the way things have traditionally been done in politics, I wouldn't rule out Jeff Sessions. And I think he'd be, personally, I think he'd be a great choice. I loved him when he was my, was there when I was there in Alabama. So
he would cost him the northern battleground states. Bad choice, in my opinion.
Interesting. Well, or it could be none of those names to both of your points there. Who knows? This is Donald Trump. Rick, Gina, thank you so much. Appreciate it.